never makes any sense to me, not just for artists, for anybody, to kind of try and remove themselves from politics, because it's everything. Everything is political. That you don't, and no one really has a choice in that. It's, in fact, to try and claim that you have a choice in that is, it's like an ultimate privilege that really isn't actually true. I think it's obvious for us, you know, it's a charity that obviously does the work that we feel, you know, everybody should be a part of, you know, protecting children around the world in the most dire situations, you know, so it's a no-brainer for us, you know, when we got asked if we wanted to be a part of it, and delighted, you know, it's you know, the track that we've done is a track called Don't Fight the Young, which might seem obvious for, you know, the kind of album that it is as a title, but, you know, it's pretty obvious that you shouldn't, you know, bomb children, and you know, and I think we felt like it was the right kind of track for the album, and very proud to be a part of it. No, it was something that we kind of catered specifically, and it felt like we're not a massive fan of doing covers ourselves. We've done a few in our time when we were younger and stuff, but I think with this, you know, we actually had a few tracks that we worked on, you know, for this specifically, and the track, you know, Don't Fight the Young, it just felt like the right kind of motivational kind of feeling, upbeat, and felt like it was the right way to say what we wanted to say for the album. I think because we made a few things, and then while we were working on it, you know, there was another track, but we felt like it was a bit too worthy and a bit too kind of I don't know, maybe what you expect, and so we chose Don't Fight the Young because it just felt like a bit angsty and a bit kind of moving you towards a kind of a bit more of a kind of hopeful situation. And like when we were recording it, we were doing bits in Abbey Road, and the children were there filming us and stuff. You could see by even their reaction that it was the right choice, you know, the right track that we chose to go with. And we tried to actually get the children to sing on it with us, but none of them were up for it. But it was a good day. It was a good day doing that. Well, we asked them, you know, we asked them, we were like, listen to this and tell us what you think. You know, kids are brutal, you know, kids can be, they don't know how to not be honest, you know, so, and we were just like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, it's good. And that was it, you know, and you could see that they were kind of moving around to it and stuff, and it just felt like the right reaction from the right audience, you know.
10 years later, 5 a.m.
It's great. Again, it's like I think that you know, we wanted them there to help us as well, and you know, they were filming and they had a job to do and all that, but there's something about kids, you know, like you can't, they're always the toughest audience, and it always feels like, you know, we've actually in our time played a fair few shows in front of children, and you know, it's always the most revealing, I think, of the songs that work and the songs that don't, and there's just a kind of honesty there that you can't buy from anyone else, kind of thing, and it's always just it's always just a great feeling when you feel like if you've got the kids moving and enjoying it, then it's definitely a winner. It was good. I think, you know, we've never really been in Abbey Road before, and I think in the other room at the same time it was Damon Albarn and Kay and Graham, I think, were in the other room doing their track, and Jarvis Cocker was there. They were doing the choir at the time in the other room, and we were in the little room at the front, and we were trying to nick some of their people, but it never worked. But yeah, we were just floating back and forth. I think for us, it's always when we're in the studio, we've never been a band that's kind of like sitting around or being social. The studio's never been a kind of place like that for us. It's always been a place of like work, you know, and like, so for us it's always like, as soon as we're in, it's like, let's get it nailed. Once we got it nailed, then it felt like we could relax a bit, but we just needed to get the sound right, and just finish the track, you know, and that's your main focus. It was nice to see people and stuff like that, and to see especially people that work behind the scenes putting the album together, you know, a great bunch of people who are working really hard, and it was a good day. We've known James quite a while. You know, we were on a track in his Simeon Mobile Disco album years ago.
It's fragrant and potent, shifty movements make me lose my focus.
And we done a tour with them, and they were actually one of the first kind of bands to notice us and get us to support them and stuff. So known him for a long time. It's great. I mean, he's obviously great at what he does, and the fact that he's put this together and got all the bands involved to create what they have is some feat, I think. You know, it's hard enough working with one band, never mind, you know, 20 or whatever. So yeah, credit to him. I mean, for us, you know, everything is political, so it's a kind of nonsensical argument to try and remove yourself from social responsibility. I think it's never made sense to us, and I think as much as like when we were younger, you know, we didn't want to tie ourselves to being a political band or whatever, but I think in the climate of the industry, any choice you make, you do have to navigate it. It's everything that comes in, every opportunity has to be thought about, and you can't just sit back and say, yeah, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do anything, we'll speak to them, we'll do this, because you're tiny, like, you know, ripples into the world as a musician. I think it's important to kind of be careful of what you're doing, and you know, we've been removed from festivals for our political stance, and probably, you know, not invited to a lot of them along the way for years, and it never makes any sense to me, not just for artists, for anybody, to kind of try and remove themselves from politics, because it's everything is political. And no one really has a choice in that. It's, in fact, to try and claim that you have a choice in that is, it's like an ultimate privilege that really isn't actually true. So for us, we've never felt that. We've always felt that, you know, you just have to, as an artist, you can choose how you do it. You can choose, and it matters, you know, it does matter how you do things and how you come across, and it's actually trying to weave it into the art as well that is the thing that can be tricky, to say it the right way or to say things the right way. And for us, you know, as the band we are, you know, we're a political statement as soon as we stand on stage before we've even sang anything. You know, it's just so embedded into us. It's just nonsensical for us to think any other way, and I think it's nonsensical for any other artist to think any other way than that, to be honest. It's just same as sport, same as anything. No one can be removed from it, you know. No one is. It's just by saying that you're making a choice. Yeah, I think it's you know, for us it's important to. It's the awareness, I think, for us. You know, you can't really match the power or the money that, you know, massive, you know, governments and companies have. You can't really match it, but you can. The only thing that you have is really the awareness. Is the thing that bands, people in general, you know, have is to try and bring awareness. And if you're in a position where you've got, you know, some ears that can catch on to what you're saying, I think it's a good thing to do. I think that it's just, as musicians, you know, there's not really much you can do, and what you do is always just going to be a tiny part. But if that tiny part is even just grouping up with others who are making a noise about something, then that becomes bigger and that gets noticed, and the whole point is it getting noticed. The whole point is that people notice you doing something or saying something. And I think with Warschild especially, it's just obviously it's just always been an obvious thing for us, you know, to protect children, and you know, no one's blind to what's happening around the world. When you see what's happening in Gaza or Sudan or Congo or Ukraine or Yemen, you know, like, I think it's a choice now. You know, we're not in the dark anymore. You know, everything's there immediately, and it's really a choice as a person to ignore that. And you know, we naturally never want to. So yeah, it makes sense. It would be amazing, you know, like, it's amazing, like, if people buy the album or donate, but you know, above all is that thing that we're talking about, is to get active, you know, is to write your politician, get involved in the community, protest, direct action, you know, all these things are holding something at bay. That it might not seem like that, and it might seem disparate and far apart, but for us it's always been really closely connected. And I think that's above all, you know. If you don't like the album, fine, donate to the charity. If you can, do any of the other things that you can do to get involved in community, because it is the thing that it is the awareness, the kind of it becoming a bigger picture and it catching fire kind of thing, you know, is the thing that is holding a bunch of stuff at bay, and that's really the only power that people have, you know. Yeah, I don't know when. I think we need to knuckle down. I mean, we've been in the studio, you know. We're always in the studio and always kind of writing ourselves individually as well. So it never stops. It's just the kind of knuckling down and being like, right, let's bring these songs together and let's finish them. And we work quite quickly, so it's never really that far away finishing an album for us. So it's just about getting together and focusing. But yeah, I mean, I'll say yes. I don't know, I can't tell you anything when or whatever, but yeah, the plan is to have more music, obviously. So